Hi, I'm Bob Von Eschen, and I have lived in the Boulder area since I was 3 years old, which is a long time. So today we're giving up to $15,000 in matching donations. So if there are people out there that would like to give 100, 500, 1,000 or more, please step forward. This is a big deal. It's a great opportunity. And so I'm asking from my heart and from my family's heart, let's continue to thrive here in TRU.
TRU Community Care has been working with Longmont United Hospital, which is a member of Centura Health, for decades in the care of our community. Since 1999, TRU has operated the only inpatient hospice care center of its kind in our community. In May of 2018, we collaborated with Centura Health to move the TRU Hospice Care Center to the 4th floor of Longmont United Hospital, creating a unique environment for our hospice patients requiring around-the-clock care. We're thankful for this partnership and for all the ways that we've worked together to ensure the best care for our community. We'd now like to show you 2 short videos. The first features Centura Health, and the second highlights the TRU Hospice Care Center.
Centura Health is different than other organizations. We were called to be different from day one, over 136 years ago. Our founders were
true explorers who innovated care throughout the West. These women and men had bold dreams and aspirations to make a difference.
Caring for their communities differently, more fully and with love and purpose.
And these strong roots continue to guide us to this day.
Every Centura Health hospital, each community clinic and physician, and every single associate.
They are all on a mission to do incredible things in very real, very personal ways.
Some of us are called to serve globally, and others are serving our neighbors right next door.
Some of us are on a mission to reimagine how we care for the whole person, and others help communities flourish in a new and sustainable way.
We are 21,000 different stories and callings, all connected by a shared belief.
Our mission
guides everything we do.
And our vision, every community, every neighborhood, every life, whole and healthy.
It is now up to us to nurture our Christian ministry.
We need you
to move health forward.
Because together, we're unstoppable.
I think it only takes about 5 minutes of being in the care center before people realize that it's not your typical hospital room or hospital floor. It's more like a home. You know, we have a family room, we have a kitchen. We really try to make it as much like home as we possibly can.
There's not the commotion that you expect from a hospital. Here, all of our rooms have mountain views. All of our rooms are private rooms. You don't share with anyone. We have providers in-house, be it pain, be it agitation, be it just general care. That's why I believe we are the emergency room for hospice, because we focus on that instance right when they're coming in to get them comfortable, to get them back to their baseline and have them comfortable while here. We can meet those needs in a quick fashion.
It's one of the best parts of my job is to be able to meet with a family who has been through so much in our medical system and finally hear about a different model that's going to support them and catch them and introduce them to a level of care that they've never embraced before. I think they don't understand that hospice is a philosophy and not necessarily a place.
When you walk into the care center, it's like walking into another dimension of just peace and spirit.
If you just need a moment of someone to listen to you, our volunteers step up and are amazing at developing those relationships with our loved ones.
It's actually a very unique, comforting, grounding environment for these patients. So I think it's important for families to realize how much goes into this and how much care and compassion that everybody in the organization has for these patients.
I want to be the first choice, and I want us to be that first thought of, I have support through TRU, and I have a place that will watch after my loved one just like I would.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of TRU Community Care, we welcome you to the 3rd annual TRU Cares Luncheon. My name is Samantha Black, and I am the Executive Director of the TRU PACE program. We know things look quite different this year. Instead of being at the Academy as we were in 2018 and 2019, or at Fraser as we had intended to be this year, we are instead on our computers and on our phones. Instead of greeting each other warmly with handshakes and hugs as we've done in years past, we see one another's names on the screen. Nevertheless, we are together. We are connected through our shared mission to support the people in our community facing advanced illness and loss. We are united by a common purpose, and we are so thrilled that you chose to join us today. To further highlight the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, I want to introduce a video we've put together that shows how TRU Community Care has taken care of our staff, our patients, our participants, our families, our volunteers, truly our community throughout the 8 past months.
So when COVID first started, we implemented something we call the Incident Command Protocol. And that was a system that we have for getting all of our leadership together to really be able to synthesize the vast amounts of information that were coming in, both from federal, state, local organizations, our community partners, and internally from our care teams and each of our departments. And we were able to use that as a way to synthesize that information, get direction back out to the organization so that folks could continue delivering high quality care so that we wouldn't miss any opportunities. PPE was a wild ride. The first thing that happened as a result of the pandemic was a huge disruption in the supply chain. So literally we were dedicating hours a day on calling suppliers and really trying to identify the PPE that we needed and who had it and at what cost. And at times it felt like we were trading on the stock market. Things were a commodity. And it wasn't only one set of things. The recommendations for PPE changed during that time, and so we had to coordinate new information with getting new supplies. And we were really blessed in that the state of Colorado provided a PPE grant to us, and we were able to use that money to get a bit of a buffer so that we could always ensure that our patients and our caregivers had the appropriate protective equipment, and that if there were further disruptions in the supply chain, that we had adequate supplies.
COVID has impacted the PACE program in how we deliver care. It's also it had a very dramatic impact on our funding stream, especially through the state. And we work very closely with the state to try to figure out how do we navigate. I mean, they necessarily had to reduce rates across all Medicaid programs statewide. It's impacted every corner of the Medicaid world. With COVID, we've had to really turn that model around, and instead of having it face inward, we're very much face outward. Most of our services are delivered in the community. We have our team going out into the homes. We are also working with telehealth, so we have quite a few tablets out in the community where folks were using telemonitoring devices as well as telephonic support to support our patients, keep track of them out in their homes. We also we're doing home delivered meals. We are doing home delivered rec therapy activities, which is really great. And we're also doing more and more services on Zoom, through Zoom meetings where people can jump in on a bingo game or a yoga class, or they're able to have group therapy. And we just want to continue to find ways to deliver the care in a really thoughtful and creative way that meets the needs of the participants while we're also navigating in an unknown economic environment.
I think with hospice being provided in home, in facilities, in our inpatient care center, our staff quickly found that they were the front line for these patients and really were playing a critical role in what was happening in their lives. We had to really move fast around setting up protocols, obtaining proper PPE to wear, and really keeping staff educated on what was happening day to day because it changed. We actually, in our inpatient care center, designated certain beds for COVID positive patients. I think the impact on hospice patients and families is actually really huge, whether they have COVID or whether they don't. We see patients in facilities that aren't allowed to have families and loved ones or visitors come in and see them. They're very isolated. All of these different scenarios really, unfortunately, are forcing some patients to spend their final days alone. Our role, I think, as hospice providers and as a hospice team is even more important than it was before in the new normal that we have now that COVID is here.
TRU really seamlessly transitioned into all virtual care the moment that we needed to with COVID-19. We were able to train all of our volunteer group facilitators on Zoom so that they were able to facilitate our support groups, and we did not miss one single meeting because of that. Our counselors were able to transition our individual counseling clients from in-person visits to virtual and/or phone sessions, depending on the preference of the person. And we have just recently started to be able to bring people back into the office for some face-to-face visits if they're comfortable and prefer that method of connecting. And it's been a journey of figuring out how best to meet people's needs while still continuing to be there for our community. COVID-19 has really presented some unique challenges to people who are grieving. Normally, we would be able to gather at our loved one's bedside to say goodbye. We'd be able to gather with friends and family to have funerals and memorial services. None of that has been possible during this time, and it's really been a challenge for people who are feeling a sense of lack of closure and really having trouble transitioning into their grief. Additionally, one of the things that we've been able to do to reach out and serve our community during this time has been to provide virtual workshops in kind of the whole realm of how to cope with grief in light of the isolation that we're all experiencing right now. That's been a really special way for us to be able to serve and connect with our community. One of the ways that our volunteers have continued to support our patients and families is by creating cards with encouraging messages that we've been sending to our patients, their families, and even our staff, just to say, we're thinking of you during this difficult time. Hopefully it brings a smile to people's faces. We also have volunteers that are making PPE kits for our staff to come and pick up. We have volunteers who are delivering telehealth tablets to our patients, ensuring that they're getting access to the care that they need. We have our volunteers who are delivering groceries to patients' porches who otherwise would not be able to safely get out and get what they need. So they've really risen to the occasion and helped us to come up with really creative ways that we can continue to serve people. The Conversation Project of Boulder County has really risen to the forefront of a critical program offering at TRU during the pandemic. Now more than ever, it's important to have conversations about your wishes with your loved ones, appointing decision makers, and really understanding, making sure that everyone in your life understands what it is that you want for your health care. The Conversation Project has a great group of volunteers who have been trained in how to help you work through what it is that your wishes are, and also help you communicate what those wishes are to the people in your life that would be making those decisions. We have seen a really big increase in interest for people evaluating their advanced care plans. It's been a really neat way to see that even virtually, we can continue to provide this really great support to all members of our community.
That week that Eric was in ICU, due to COVID, I wasn't allowed in to see him. The last time I saw him was at 2 a.m. that Tuesday morning after his heart had stopped. And they took him away to the cardiac cath lab. The next time that I was able to actually lay physical hands on him was when his daughter and I made the decision at what time to pull that that ventilator and let him go. In between, thank God we have telehealth and the iPads, because the staff at Good Sam, ICU, the chaplain over there and everything, they were able to FaceTime him. So I was actually at least able to see him and talk to him. And so was his daughter and his friends and his family, to actually say goodbye. Because when we really did say goodbye, there was only Macy and I in the room. Because that's all that was allowed due to COVID. There was only the two of us allowed. So she was on his left side, I was on his right side. So yeah, COVID and grief, it's hard. When your loved ones are in a facility dying and you can't be there, the benefit is being able to have our staff there, or the telehealth that we offer, that we'll have the iPads in there and the nurse will hold it up so that they can communicate with their family. And that is huge. So the fact that we're able to offer the telehealth to give families that little bit of peace, it helps.
Yeah, I think the pandemic had a vital role in how we did our telecare. Fortunately, Michael McHale, our president and CEO, has had a vision for years to incorporate a telecare program into our organization. And we actually started rolling out our program in December of 2019, so way prior to the COVID pandemic happening. I think because of this unique program, back in March, we were able to evaluate which visits could be provided via telehealth, and which ones could again be implemented by the daily monitoring, so that we didn't actually have to go in and see the patient, but the patient was constantly being monitored by a nurse. We found that many patients and family were very grateful for the opportunity for us to be able to do our visits telephonically, and really knowing that with the remote patient monitoring, that we were constantly keeping our eyes on them for any changes of condition. We were able to support the families in making sure that they knew what was coming next, and providing support that they needed at that time during that day.
The funds that we raise at the thrift shop supports TRU Community Care's missions. So one of the most amazing things to me was when we reopened for donations, we had a traffic jam of people with full cars, so excited to help us get back on our feet, so excited to donate. I kept hearing over and over, I've been home sorting for you guys, and it was amazing. It felt great. It was really difficult to manage. We didn't know how we were going to ever get through all these donations. And in the first few weeks, we had to sometimes turn people away, but they were generally fine about it. They knew things were hard, said, don't worry, I'll be back next week. So it was really interesting to see the number of donations coming in.
As you can imagine, COVID-19 has severely impacted our fundraising efforts. On the positive side, grant giving has increased significantly. We've received a generous grant to help offset the costs of PPE. We've received multiple grants in support of our telecare program. But on the negative side, the economic uncertainty of this time is really taking its toll. Individual giving is down, corporate giving is down. We lost a lot of revenue in our thrift shop. We've been unable to gather in large groups for our fundraising events. That is why we're asking you to support TRU Community Care today. It's more important than ever before that you give generously in support of our mission. Thank you for standing with us.
Hello, my name is Michael McHale, and I have the privilege of serving as the President and CEO of TRU Community Care. Certainly it's a pleasure, although virtually, to join you today. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors for making today's event possible, especially our platinum sponsors, BOK Financial, Centura Health, Longmont United Hospital, in partnership with Centura Health of Vista Adventist Hospital, and Home Instead Senior Care. Also our gold sponsors, the Blank and Prince families in honor of Nancy Prince, the Academy Senior Living, Ewing Levitt Insurance Agency, Fraser, and the WW Reynolds companies. As Sam mentioned earlier, these truly are unprecedented times that we find ourselves in. I've always been proud of our staff, but what we've accomplished together since March is nothing short of awe-inspiring. I want to take a moment to recognize the hard work of each and every TRU employee. Thank you for all that you do to care for our community. I want to recognize our board of directors, many of whom are here with us today. Thank you for your leadership, your courage, and your guidance. You've steered us to where we are today, and you're driving us forward in many important ways. While it has been absolutely critical to deal with the present challenges, many of which seem to be changing every single day, TRU's leadership understands how critical it is for us to be able to plan for the future. We've worked hard over the past few years to shore up our operations, to grow existing programs, and to line our resources and strengthen our partnerships. Thanks to the solid foundation that you, our supporters, have helped us to build upon, we're able to create new opportunities that allow us to better care for our community. It's my pleasure to introduce our next video, TRU's Path Forward.
TRU PACE has expanded in quite a number of ways, and we've grown very steadily over the time we've opened in the last 3.5 years. We have had to remodel some of our services. So for example, the day program, we had folks who were coming all day because it's in such a high demand to have that social component in their care plan. Really in the last 3.5 years, we've gone from an initial 4 participants who started the program with us to over 200 now. So as the word gets out, as people hear more about what we can offer, it's becoming an ever more well-known and popular program, and we're really seeing that the program's starting to take off just on word of mouth, which is really exciting. Additional growth we see for PACE is that we will continue to enroll participants, there's no doubt. I mean, people are just coming, and it's really exciting that we'll be able to continue to serve the way we are. We are looking at additional expansion opportunities, whether it's service areas and serving rural areas that really need PACE type of care. We're also looking at within a current service area that we may need to bring in additional services, whether it's additional day programming. We also are, looking at housing, but we're looking at things like, what do the participants need? There's a lot of things that excite me about the future of PACE. One thing that's really exciting for me is to really find out how can we use telehealth and telecare through the pandemic and beyond to make sure that folks, our participants and their families, continue to feel really connected, engaged, and that we're using technology to help make that all happen.
Our journey to becoming a telecare organization actually started well before the pandemic, when we were involved in a national study on using telemedicine with our hospice patients. And that really kind of helped us set the stage to move forward. We started a telecare pilot a month before the pandemic crisis started, and had deployed 5 tablets to really just get an idea of how this might help our patients and improve outcomes. And then as the pandemic evolved, we were then able to rapidly deploy more equipment into patients' homes to make sure that we were able to provide the services and the care that they needed. Part of our approach to telecare, we were really focused on increasing the care that was received and the quality of that care. And as we were moving forward, we kind of took on the phrase of high touch, high tech, so that we were really able to see patients in a different way, leveraging technology so that we could remove some of those barriers to care. As healthcare is changing and evolving, we really, as an organization, started looking at how can we reach our patients, give them excellent care, but do that in a much more efficient way. As reimbursements decrease, but care needs increase, we really believe that telecare was the medium to do that in and meet all those competing demands. And we had really tried to develop a platform that was more robust. Our telecare system involves active patient monitoring. We're able to individualize education through our telecare platform, specifically for a patient's disease process or their needs. We actually try to address lifestyle. We can send out recipes or a video. We hope that we can also impact anxiety and depression by having people feel connected in a different way and literally have us be a button away from being able to interact with a human being on the other end of the equipment so that we can address those needs in real time. So in June of 2000, we opened a state-of-the-art telecare center. And in that center, we have a care team of individuals who are there to support our patients across our continuums of care. Patients have access to a nurse 24/7 so that they can get their questions answered or have a discussion about maybe needing an additional visit or a change in medications. And we really believe that that supports our telecare system and improves our care delivery. One of the things that we've learned in our telecare journey so far is the components that are required to scale a telehealth system. And as we've done this, and what we saw in the pandemic where people became isolated, especially high-risk elders, they didn't get the connections that they had with families and caregivers like they had before the pandemic. And we really believe the next iteration of teleservices is integrating a robust socialization component so that we can really address those needs.
You know, about a year ago, I was meeting with a member of our community who was struggling to find adequate care for her husband, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. It struck me at the time that there simply is not enough support in our community for individuals living with Alzheimer's or other dementia diagnoses, and for those who care for them. You know, approximately 40% of our more than 200 PACE participants have a dementia diagnosis. So when an opportunity presented itself many months ago for TRU to acquire a local family-owned assisted living facility that focused on memory care, I knew that we had to explore the opportunity. With the support of our board and many hours of hard work, I'm thrilled to share with you that as we first announced on October 7th, that TRU has acquired Landmark Memory Care. You know, since opening in 2016, Landmark has distinguished itself as a quality provider of care for those in our community living with Alzheimer's and other dementia diagnoses. A number of our TRU PACE participants already reside there, and we have several more who are on the waiting list to get into the facility. The presence of these participants at Landmark and the cooperative relationship between our two organizations has been primary in our decision to pursue this acquisition. What's more, the relationship provides for future TRU PACE growth and the concurrent opportunity for Landmark offerings to also expand and grow. The acquisition is further guided by TRU's mission and our commitment to the community to expand programs and services to better meet emerging needs. As the population in our community ages, the needs of these people living with Alzheimer's and dementia-related illnesses is also going to increase. TRU is now positioned to expand our programs and services to meet these needs. You know, I'm inspired when I reflect upon how far TRU has come in such a short period of time and the potential that's inherent in this move. In addition to growing the services of TRU PACE and Landmark Memory Care, we've also acquired a small campus with it. The potential down the road is for us to build out a center of excellence for the care of people living with Alzheimer's and dementia. We look forward to keeping you apprised of any new developments with this opportunity.
Hi, I'm Scott Johnson. I'm a songwriter, a photographer, graphic designer, founder of World Singing Day. I've lived in Boulder for 27 years now and a longtime supporter of TRU Community Care. It was back in the late 90s, actually. I was doing graphic design work when it was Boulder Hospice with Constance Holden. We were good friends, and at the same time I was doing that, my father was using hospice when he was dying in California, and the day after he died, I ended up writing a song for him called Just a Heartbeat Away that turned out to be a song from him. And anyway, with Constance and I came up with the idea of let's do a special CD for honoring hospice and called Passages. So we ended up putting that song and some other songs on this CD. And so that's kind of my first experience with TRU care, community care. And then my mom was in California and she had dementia, and we moved her out here a few years ago. And in 2018, the last 6 months of her life, we used TRU hospice to help her the last several months, and it was very, very helpful. Our mom was at Balfour Cherrywood Memory Care, and they did a great service. But having TRU there was really having the nurse and all the other support there was just that extra added care that we really needed. I think the last couple of years of my mom's life was just really hard to see this vivacious woman that just loved life and just see her slowly degrade and just not enjoying life anymore. And to have hospice help us through that process of, we actually did the grieving while she was still alive, I think, for us. It was actually kind of a relief when she did pass. I mean, it was her time, but it's just so nice to have knowledgeable, experienced people to kind of hold your hand during that process. I support TRU and have been a long-time supporter of TRU just because birth and death are huge milestones in our lives, and we have felt just very high-quality care and support. The whole staff, the nurses and doctors, very supportive and very knowledgeable, and just made the whole process so much easier during such a hard thing like this. And so next you'll hear from those staff members and reasons why they are giving.
I give to TRU financially because, as the spiritual leader Ram Dass often taught, at the end of the day, after all, we are all just walking each other home. I believe that since 1976, TRU Community Care has been doing that every moment of every day. It is important to me that for years to come, that TRU is able to continue to be healthy so that we can continue to provide these services to our patients, families, and our community.
It's important to me to support TRU financially for several reasons. First of all, I was a non-traditional student, so I went back to school as an adult with children in the home. And I think it's important to try to find those opportunities to advance your skills in education, and this is one of those ways that happens, is we have this fund that goes into providing our staff funds to get through some of their courses. I also find that it helps me feel like I'm contributing to our organization as a whole to grow. So not just the organization, but the individuals within it. So when we take the time to donate and help our colleagues, then they can in turn take those skills that they learn and use them out in the field and help our patients in our community.
A couple of years ago, when I was early in my career, in the healthcare career, there is a vicious circle. You don't have experience, you don't get a job, you don't get a job, you don't have an experience. So I went through that phase where I didn't have enough experience or certifications I needed to get a job, and I lost a few opportunities. And I always thought if there was a way I could get a job and get an opportunity to grow with education or certification inside, that would be wonderful. So the main reason behind me doing this is to give everybody a TRU PACE or TRU Community Care, everybody here to give an opportunity to get what I never had before, and then I think it's going to help everybody.
It's important for me to give back just because everything in my life and everything that TRU stands for, to help others when they need that help, when they need that support, and a few dollars out of the paycheck is not missed for the benefit that other people can have from just those few dollars a paycheck.
I support TRU in just about every way that one can support TRU. I give through payroll deductions. I buy my peaches through TRU. I support the Butterfly Memorial Release event. This year I'm going to buy a wreath in support of TRU, and I give at this luncheon. I also include TRU in my giving for Colorado Gives Day and Giving Tuesday. I do all of this for two main reasons. First of all, hospice is near and dear to my heart. I lost my first husband after his fight with cancer just a few years ago, and we were so lucky to have 3 months of hospice care before he passed. So I lived hospice firsthand, and I understand the important role that a hospice team plays at that period of time. Second, I see firsthand every single day the work that's being done at TRU, both on the front lines and through our visionary leadership. I, like you, support the people and the initiatives that I care about, which is why I support TRU.
Hi, I'm Bob Von Eschen, and I have lived in the Boulder area since I was 3 years old, which is a long, long, long time. My first encounter with hospice was with my mom. She had breast cancer and was staying at home. My dad was taking care of her, and it had gotten to a point where my dad wasn't able to, just because of all of the technical stuff that needed to go on for comfort. And it was suggested that we bring hospice in at that point, and it proved to be a relief, because it allowed us time then to think about other things versus the day-to-day or, you know, technically what we were supposed to do. My dad, after losing my mom, remarried, and his new wife ended up with Alzheimer's, and eventually just the effect was so large that we needed to bring hospice in on that also. And it was, again, looked back on as a success, compassion, love, everything you guys could imagine. Hospice has been right there with us. As some of you know, I was married to Becky, and she passed away May 23rd, 2019, and she would be here right now with me if she hadn't passed away. It was a sudden, very sudden. She had a stroke, and so there wasn't the buildup of someone passing away. It was right there. So the experience that I've had with the staff coming in and just, you know, embracing me in the situation was that it was the follow-up afterwards that became much more evident for me that was as powerful and potentially more powerful, because even this Thursday, I'm going to be involved in a Zoom conference with the people that are continuing to support me in my thinking, because as some of you may know, you go through a lot of thinking, and it doesn't make it go away. What it does is it allows you to convert it from maybe just thinking into more compassion, love for yourself, forgiveness, and belief. So it was a transition for me to go from my wife dying and having the support, and I appreciate that immensely. The reason that I'm standing here today is because I believe in the support of TRU, such that their value to the community, to people who don't even know they exist yet, is so important. And they don't advertise like, you know, some people do, which is fine, yet they're there at a phone call away. And that requires dollars. And these dollars that we give, in my opinion, are used and utilized in a way that is supportive of anybody, anywhere that needs this. And to continue that to me, is giving back to the community. And so as we continue to support TRU with our dollars, it adds to the whole community being a community. So today, we're giving up to $15,000 in matching donations. So if there are people out there that would like to give 100, 500, 1,000 or more, please step forward. This is a big deal. It's a great opportunity. And so I'm asking from my heart and from my family's heart, let's continue to thrive here in TRU.
Three, two.
Thank you, Bob, for your generous matching offer. What this means is that any gift that we receive today is basically doubled up to that $15,000 match. Also, thank you to Scott Johnson for sharing your personal testimonial with us. We're grateful that we could be a part of your mom's care. And I want to thank all of our staff members who support our mission each and every day. Your commitment to our patients is nothing less than inspiring. Among those staff members who have directly cared for our patients is my co-host today, Beth Marks. Beth is a clinical manager for our TRU Hospice program and oversees a team of CNAs, social workers, RNs, and chaplains as they work together to care for and support our patients and their families while they're on our hospice service. Beth, why don't you tell us how the Fund Our Mission portion of our event is going to work today? And remember, this is going to move fast, and we want to make sure that we keep our commitment to wrapping up by 1 o'clock. So I hope that everybody's ready to help us match Bob's generous gift.
Thank you, Michael. It is truly my honor to be here with all of you today, just as it has been my honor to take care of people who come to TRU for their end-of-life care. I can't tell you how many times people say to me, "How can you handle being a hospice nurse? Isn't it too depressing?" And I tell them the work definitely can be hard and emotional, but it is so wonderful to be able to walk with a patient and family and give them the care they truly want and know they need. When the time for hospice has come, it means all tests and procedures have been exhausted and the patient is ready to be made comfortable and be at peace. To be able to be one of those people to make that possible is such a joy and a privilege. When I admitted people to our hospice services, I often saw relief spread over their faces, and that makes it worth it. I've always known there are generous supporters donating behind the scenes to make our work possible, and I'm glad I get to see the fundraising in action today and get to help with the process. Here's how it's going to work. Michael and I are going to walk through a few suggested donation amounts, highest to lowest, to let you know what kind of impact that dollar amount could have on TRU's work. If you are inspired to give at that level, please do so by clicking the green pledge button showing that amount. Any amount helps. There is no gift too big or too small, and we will save time at the end for other amounts. At the end of the event, you will just need to remember to check out by clicking on your pledge cart and following the prompts to provide payment information. Michael, would you start us off?
Thank you, Beth. We're going to start at the highest level with $2,500 or more. Remember that if you want to give at a level lower than $2,500, we ask that you please hold off until you hear that amount called. I think we can all agree that this has been a challenging year. You heard earlier in our program about the many ways that TRU has served our community throughout this pandemic, and now we're dealing with patients and staff impacted by the Kelwood and Cameron Peak fires. In addition to providing day-to-day care in our community, TRU has taken a leadership role on the state level. We have representation in numerous state committees and subgroups focused on crisis standards of care, developing COVID-19 surge plans, dealing with drug shortages, and the ethical concerns that can come up during a pandemic. We know how important it is to lead, and we want to make sure that we're at the table when discussing big picture issues and creating solutions to help our state and our community. You know, we need to do our part to provide our staff with the proper PPE to protect them and our patients and families. During this pandemic, the cost of these supplies has surged exponentially, sometimes as much as 7 times the price that we paid pre-pandemic. and now we're heading into the next surge of COVID cases. We're asking today if you could help us to offset this crucial cost. $2,500 could provide enough PPE to cover just 9 days of visits across both our hospice and palliative care programs. $2,500 could provide 1 year of art supplies for our Healing Circles Youth and Family Grief program. This program supports children who've lost a loved one, as well as those with surviving family members. I see that Bob Van Eschen Sr. has donated $2,500. Thank you so much for matching your son's gift. You know, $2,500 could provide 3 months of lunches for our PACE participants, lunches which we are currently delivering wherever the patient calls home. We want to make sure that they get nutritious meals every single day as we're dealing with this pandemic.
Okay. Next, we are going to move to the $1,000 level. I think we can all recognize the effort that our hospice and palliative healthcare workers put into their daily work lives. When members of our staff expand their knowledge base by becoming certified in hospice and palliative care, it demonstrates their commitment to our mission and dedication to our patients and our community. It provides us with the opportunity to better serve those members of our community who are the reason we do what we do at TRU. It provides us as an organization the ability to benefit from the expanding knowledge of our colleagues and put into practice what we already feel in our hearts. A gift of $1,000 could provide hospice and palliative care certification for 2 staff members.
Beth, I'm pleased to announce that Jill and Constance and Deborah and Bob and Scott have all given at the $1,000 level.
Wow, wonderful. $1,000 could provide 1 day of care at our inpatient care center for someone without insurance. Our hospice care center is the only inpatient unit of its kind in our area and provides the highest level of around-the-clock care for hospice patients needing more intensive care. When admitting a patient to our care center, I could just see the relief that was on his face that this level of care provides.
You know, Beth, during this period of the pandemic, and so many people are losing their jobs and losing their healthcare coverage, as a nonprofit organization, we don't discriminate. We accept anybody regardless of their inability to pay for our care.
$1,000 could provide Healing with Horses scholarships for 10 grieving children to participate in an 8-week group. This group gives children a space to grieve with others and partners children with horses who are powerful instruments of connection.
Beth, there's many more $1,000 donations coming in, and we're so grateful.
Okay, we're about to close the $1,000 section of our fundraiser. $1,000 going once, going twice. Thank you to everyone who has donated at this level.
Okay, we're going to move now to the $500 level. A gift of $500 is approximately the cost of 1 telecare tablet, which allows us for video communication with our patients and families. $500 is also the cost of a remote patient monitoring kit, which includes a pulse ox, a blood pressure cuff, and weight scales that pairs with the tablet. These items help us to monitor a patient's disease progression and allows us to be proactive in their care. We have hundreds of patients that we would like to provide these kits to in the coming months and years as we work to expand the TRU Telecare program. We'd encourage all of you to please give now at the $500 level.
And Michael, I see that Mike, Sam, and Robert have given at this level.
That's great. Thank you all so much. Anybody else who would like to give at this level? $500, going once, going twice. Thank you to everyone who's donated at the $500 level.
Wonderful. Well, we are going to move on to our $250 level. There are so many ways that $250 can support our work. A gift of $250 could pay for materials for 40 veteran honoring packets, which include pins, certificates, and military branch flags for veterans on our hospice program. We are so proud of our Level 5 We Honor Veterans status and the unique care we provide for our veterans and their families.
Beth, you know that we're seeing more Vietnam veterans come onto our service. You know, that's the lost and forgotten war. And these are our unsung heroes that were never thanked for their service. And it's so meaningful for us as they approach the end of life to be able to salute them and to thank them for the service to our country.
Yes.
We're seeing a lot of $250 gifts come in. Reagan, Heather, Deborah, Jen and Britton, Stephanie.
Wow. $250 could provide a special headset for a PACE participant who is hearing impaired. And $250 can also provide telecare to a patient through the Vivify Go Plus app for 1 year.
You know, it's so important for us to have different ways to communicate with our patients and families, and having the ability to use an individual's cell phone, just as we would with a telemonitoring pad, to have connections with them. It's great that we're able to do that.
Yes. $250 could cover the cost of 3 cases of gloves. This would provide enough gloves for staff to complete 1 month of visits.
We're seeing more gifts come in at the $250 level. Would anybody else like to go ahead and give at this level?
$250 going once? Going twice? Thank you so much to all who donated.
And now we're going to move to the $100 level. This is the last level that we're going to call out. A gift of $100 could serve 1,000 individuals with materials from the Conversation Project of Boulder County, which is a sponsored program of TRU's. The Conversation Project in Boulder County also serves members of our homeless community, providing them with ID cards that list their emergency contact and medical power of attorney information.
Michael, I see that Stephanie, Marie, and Catherine have donated at this level.
That is great, thank you. If you, $100 would provide medical supplies for 1 hospice patient for more than a month. It could provide instruction of 2 fitness classes like Zumba and yoga that we provide to our PACE participants remotely during the period of the pandemic. You know, $100 could also cover the cost of 285 surgical masks, which is enough to provide for our staff for almost 6 days worth of visits.
Yes, and Pat and Terry have also donated at this level.
That's great. All right, before we close out, $100 going once, going twice. Thank you to all of our $100 supporters.
Lastly, we want to allow a few minutes for anyone else to give at any level. If you were moved by what you've heard today, please consider making a gift now. Remember, at the end of the event at 1 o'clock, please be sure to check out through Paybe with your payment information so that your gift can be processed. Michael, I am personally blown away by all of the support. I am going to take your generosity with me into the field and share with all of my colleagues how fortunate we are to have you standing by us.
Beth, thanks for participating with me today. Thank you to Bob for doubling our impact. And my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you who supported our mission today. We're going to need you in the months and years to come. After all, we're all in this together. And I'm just looking over my shoulder and I see that we've reached $23,135, which has exceeded our match of $15,000. And I want to thank Bob Van Eschen and his family for making this pledge possible in memory of Becky Hayes. I want to thank all of you for joining us today. Thank you so much for your support for TRU Community Care.
Uniquely challenging in all the ways we've touched on, and then some. If you are experiencing grief because you're newly bereaved or because the pandemic is triggering an older loss, I want to encourage you that while it might be important to socially distance, it is equally important that you try not to emotionally distance too. As hard as it may seem, try to reach out to the people who are good listeners. Text a friend, call a family member, share a photo, engage in a video chat. Tell stories, laugh, cry. It's all so crucial to the grief journey. I also want to remind you that TRU Grief Services is available to anyone and everyone. Please reach out if we can help you at all during these trying times. We're about to show you our memorial slideshow made up of photos of your lost loved ones. Thank you for graciously sharing these photos with us. We are honored to view them and hold space for those you hold dear. And thank you to Scott Johnson for the music you will hear during the slideshow. Scott has supported TRU through his work with the Conversation Project in Boulder County and through generous contributions. It's become a bit of a tradition for Scott's music to accompany this portion of our event, although we will certainly miss enjoying his live performance this year. Scott has selected the song As the Leaves Fall for this year's song. He shared with us, when I wrote this song, I was contemplating a big life change, and falling leaves seemed a perfect analogy for letting go and moving on.
A cold north wind rushes in, pulling on branches as if it was helping the leaves to let go. A flock of birds can be heard flying high overhead, following nature's call, following nature's flow. I look out and see reflections of me, and as the leaves fall, I feel my heart tug me, I hear my heart call, and as the wind blows, I know it's time to let go. The stars at night shine so bright, casting a spell on me. Be not afraid, they say, trust what you feel, they say. A stream flows by, running high, spilling over its sides. It knows not where it goes, but goes where it must flow. I look out and see reflections of me, as the leaves fall. I feel my heart tug me, I hear my heart call, as the wind blows, I know it's time to let go. Colors fade red to gray as they do every year. Changes are forming, changes that are transforming. As the trees drop their leaves, they become barren, but their letting go provides seedlings to grow. I look out and see reflections of me, and as the leaves fall, I feel my heart tug me, I hear my heart call, as the wind blows, I know it's time to let go.
What a beautiful tribute. Thank you for sharing your loved ones with us. And thank you again for joining us today and supporting our work. This concludes our program. May you and all you hold dear be safe and well cared for during this time and always.